We're at the point now to where we want to mock up a fender to go on the back of our Rebel bobber. Now, you can do whatever you want to, obviously. And some people will take that stock fender that you see there and modify that. Sometimes they'll cut it off, you know, and just leave, and it leaves that big gap in between the fender and the tire, which looks goofy. And then you've got, if you can see these mounts here, you've got a fender that's way too wide for the tire, and from the back it looks terrible. Now if it came all the way down here and you had like a bagger style fender, you know, that covers up most of the tire, that's no problem. So what we want to try to do is you want to try to find a fender that either is exact width of your tire or maybe just a little bit smaller. We want to give the illusion that this tire is bigger than it is. So this is the fender that came off the front of the bike, and sometimes that's a possibility. Like on that little Suzuki there, the front fender on it was just perfect to use on the back. But as you can see, this fender is way too small for the tire. So what we done is we went out to the spare parts pile, it's not easy to say, and we picked up this fender off of a Yamaha 650 Yamaha 750 Special, 79 I believe. And if you look, it's smaller in the front that was going on the tire than it is on the back. Now if you'll see, if you'll put that up there on your tire, that's way too short, or not wide enough. Now if you put the back part of that on there, that almost covers that tire, and that's what we want. We want something to almost cover the tire to give the illusion that we got a nice fat meaty tire on the back, because when we bought this out and you have nothing but the tank and the seat and just a little bit of a fender, you want that, I mean, that tire is prominent. It's going to be right there in your face. You want it to look meaty. You want that rear tire to look big. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut down these fender mounts on both sides. We'll just grind those cutting wheel, get those off. So what we want to do is we want to be able to get that to where we can sink it down in there to where we want it to float, and just above this tire, because we're going to mount it to the swing arm in the front and on both sides. Probably since we're trying to save money, we'll probably do a strut mount on these shock mounts to hold that fender up. So that'll be the next thing we'll do right now, is cut those fender mounts off. Well, change of plans on the fender. I'd been working on this fender. I'd trimmed it down, got all the edges smoothed out, and all that time never noticed that it had a hole on that side for a grommet, which is not going to match up for what I need. So we went back out to the spare parts pile, aka the junkyard, and this is a front fender from an 85 VLX 600 Honda Shadow, and it just a little bit wider, which actually fits a little bit better. We cut the mounts off of it, or I cut the mounts off of it, and got it trimmed down, and we got it pretty well placed on the tire where I want it. I'm going to get something to go underneath it to raise it up, and we'll start mocking out using that metal there to make us some fender struts and mounts. We have our fender struts made. We use this mount here for the shock, and then we just used the vise and bent that where we needed to. Up here we'll round this off, and I dropped that fender while we were measuring back and forth, so that's going to have to be fixed. And while we still got this stock left, we got a couple pieces about that long. We're going to use these old Fender, this was the Fender, old Fender strut that came here. We're going to use those holes instead of cutting that off and welding. So like I said, we're trying to save as much money as we can and trying to do this as close to what you'd be able to do in your garage if you don't have a weld or anything. So what we've done is we've taken little sections of that stock that we've got, and we've measured the holes, and we're going to use some LED turn signals that they came off of Amazon. I think they were like $14 a set, or $21 a set, or something like that, with free shipping. That's about as cheap as you're going to get. And what we're going to do is we measured that out, and this line here is where we'll cut that stock, and we'll round off each of these corners and use that mounting hole that we've seen on the bike over there. And that's what it looks like before we've got the holes drilled in it. Those are just pilot holes there. So we'll be able to use these and mount those turn signals for the rear, and use the wiring that we've got real close there, so we won't have to run a whole lot of wire. And we're going to do that, and then we're going to build a tag bracket and brake light bracket to go on the left hand side of the bike over there. So the next part of the video, we'll cut this off and we'll get those made, trimmed out and mounted there, and then we'll move towards getting a tag bracket and a brake light bracket. And then once we have that finished and mocked up, we'll move on up to taking those incredibly hideous handlebars off and trying to do something with those. We've got our tail end mock-up completed, all but we haven't rounded this off yet. There's our brackets that we built. I'll give you some idea about what the turn signals are going to look like. We got a tag bracket, holes, adjustable holes for the tag, and these two holes on the top are going to hold our brake light. And again, that's something we just purchased off of Amazon. I think it was about another $14 or something like that. So that'll finish off that. So the next thing I think we're going to work on is doing some custom exhaust on this bike. That's the next thing we need to get accomplished, so we can button up everything as far as the wiring and everything running wise on the bike on the back. And we're not going to go to the expense or time to deframe this bike and all that. We're going to paint everything as it is together, except for the wheels. We're going to do those wheels separately. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and the next video we'll be posting will be doing the custom exhaust on this bike.